It is the entire need of the presenter to look confident and organized, because the first few words that he talks about when he's trying to give the presentation will set the tone for the entire presentation. When he comes, when the presenter comes and starts giving the presentation, he have to use words and emphasize on the words that makes the sense or completes the purpose of giving the presentation. When he does that with confidence, then the audience will assume that the coming presentation or the complete presentation will be up to the mark or up to their expectation. However, this can be achieved by being organized and practicing earlier time ahead. Now, in order to keep the presentation organized, the presenter have to do the following important things. So the first one is the presenter needs to connect with the audience on the topic. How does he do that? He might use an icebreaker by asking a question which provokes the need of understanding the purpose of presentation. For example, if the presenter is going to talk about the technical complexities of a new operating system for Mac OS, then the audience of course doesn't have any knowledge about it, so the presenter can frame a question where he can ask the audience about the problems they are facing currently. And now in this way, these type of openings are called as icebreakers. We talk about a small question, and then we help the audience to understand the need of understanding the need of bringing up the new product or the service by giving the presentation about it. So the icebreakers will help the users or the audience to think ahead and get attracted towards the presentation. This is how the presenter can grab the audience attention by providing, answer to the questions what the presenter have asked as an icebreaker. For example, he might ask, why is your topic important to the listeners? And also, how will it benefit them? And what are the credentials to explain the topic to them? So such type of questions, when you ask to the audience, when you ask the questions to the audience, what do? They will start understand listening to you first. Then once they listen completely properly, then they will get interested and they will get attracted to listen all the presentation. Now most of the time, what do I do? For example, when I see, when I have to introduce an important topic, then I say that this topic question have been asked in the final exam or a midterm exam. So this becomes like an icebreaker for the students, and they get attracted to understand how the question will be asked and how do they need to answer it to get the full marks. So when we talk about audience interest, the audience will get attracted. So the presenter can use this technique, icebreaker technique, to connect with them by asking some questions and providing answers to them. Setting the agenda. Now, before talking about a presentation, or before even giving the presentation or calling up a meeting, we know that we have to prepare an agenda. Now, what does this agenda have inside it? The topics or the things that will be completed throughout the presentation. So it tells to the audience that what are the different things they are going to cover, they are going to be introduced to in the given presentation. The agenda will explain to the audience at the outset that what the presenter is going to talk about and how the plan is organized for the discussion. It is very important for a presenter to make an eye contact with the audience. Now, looking most of the time, what happens? If the presenter is not confident, he might look into the eyes of only one audience, or maybe at the back wall or something like that. He would not look into everyone's, every audience. He cannot make the eye contact with all the audience available in the presentation hall. So as much as possible, the presenter needs to make an eye contact with as many people as possible who is attending their presentation, who is attending his presentation. Watch for the pitfalls. Now, if you have, if you have a formal presentation, then avoiding the lame jokes as an icebreaker technique is very important. Humor is good, making your audience laugh is good, but we have to keep this in moderation, because if the presenter starts making lame jokes as an icebreaker technique, what will happen? The knowledgeable audience available in the room will get distracted by this humor, and they don't want to take it seriously. So humor is fine if it seems a natural aspect of the presentation, and if it really helps you to connect with the audience, do that. Otherwise, avoid lame jokes. Now let us see what are the different other techniques. Now, how many things we have covered? 4. Connect with the audience, set the agenda, make the eye contact, and the fourth one is watch for pitfalls. Can you please repeat the first one? Connect. The second one, set the agenda. Third one, make an eye contact. Fourth one, watch for the pitfalls. Now let us see what are the other pointers that will help you to keep your presentation organized. The presenter is always encouraged to use simple and direct language so that your audience can quickly and easily understand what he's trying to read or reflect on. Okay, so using simple language and a direct language is very important, because the audience are the ones who doesn't have any knowledge about the technology what the presenter is presenting. Hence, using simple and direct language will help them to understand quickly and easily about the subject on which the presentation is being read or reflect on. Vary your sentences. Okay, now what do we mean by vary your sentences? It means that the drama needs to be created when the presentation is being given. It means, like, the presenter can make the choice of words, their pace, talking something very fast, or talking some things in a slow pace, so that the audiences can uh, you know uh, audiences can concentrate on the important points. So, creating a drama while talking to create the interest of the audience is important. Sometimes you would see that your teachers make you laugh, or sometimes they move their hands or their eyes in order to grab the attention of the students in the hall. So, this is important. Creating a drama or for creating the interest of the audience is very important. Convey your interest. Vary your tone and volume to show genuine interest in your material and your audience. It means, changing the tone of your voice, increasing the volume, changing the pace of the words that you speak, has to go with the flow of the presentation. So, where the presenter have to emphasize on the topics, he can use a little bit higher volume, or keep some stress on on those important words, to convey that we are reaching some important points of the presentation. Pace yourself, speak at a pace. Pace means the speed of talking. So speak at the pace that allow your listeners to follow your points without the frustration of trying to keep up with you. So it is very important to pace. The presenter have to pace himself. Because if the presenter goes very slowly, the audience can get bored. If the presenter talks very fastly, the listeners can not understand what he's saying. So he has to take care about the pace based on the audience grasping power. Then look for the mistakes. So your presentation will become deadly if you don't respect the timelines. However, how good your presentation is, you have to follow the timelines. It is not that if you're talking very nicely, you can take 2 hours to complete a presentation that was supposed to be completed in 30 minutes. So dragging it too long or keeping it too short will actually create your presentation a failure. So take care about the timelines. It is essential to keep your presentation presentation to a length that is appropriate for the audience to understand. So length of the presentation is important to keep the audience being able to understand it. Closing is a technique. Now we come, and in organizing, one of the important thing is closing. If you see here, we talk about introduction, we talk about the body, organizing the body of the presentation. Now we're talking about closing the presentation. Now let us see how we close the presentation. Closing creates a long lasting impression. Hence, you have to restate the main points or the main idea to focus on all your information for audience in a way they can easily understand. Outline a plan for the next step. Now, what is the next step that the audience is supposed to do? You have to give an idea about it, and strongly and positively. So, for example, if the presenter was very energetic during the presentation, he has to follow that energy in closing also. Otherwise, if he becomes very, contradictory, for example, his energy is now very slow while closing, then the audiences will not feel that something has not come to end in a proper way. They feel like this. Okay, so we have to take care that the presentation is strongly ended and also positively ended. Now let us and then also watch for the pitfalls or watch for the problems inside it. Make sure you plan your closing to give a sense of forethought. What does it mean? Forethought means that now they get an idea what to do next. Okay, so it is something like they are trying to understand a complex technology that you are presenting to them. After closing the presentation, they should now get an idea about what is the next topic, what is the next thing they have to do, what is the next action they have to do. So it should create a sense of forethought, completeness, and professionalism. Okay, now let us see how the designing should be done. In today's visually oriented society, people are used to being attracted by the graphics. So, using sophisticated graphics will create interest of create interest of the audience to watch your presentation. Even on the TV screen and computer screens, the graphics are playing lot of work, and they played a vital role in conveying the idea. And hence, you have to also take care about the design of graphics so that so that it makes the presentation easier to understand by the audience. Audiences expect speakers to have the visual support for their ideas and their words. For example, if you're talking about introducing a new idea, then you should make some graphics to explain your, take help from some graphics to explain your idea. Presentation must have, some oral presentation have become almost mandatory. Okay, now here, while selecting the visual aids, you have to make sure that the words are helping your the visuals are helping your words. Your words should not help the visual aids that you're using. It means you should not have very complex visual aids or graphics. They should be simple and they should comprehend, or they should explain or help to understand the words that you are doing, that you are trying to explain. There are two types of visual aids. The first one is called as a text visual, and the second one is called as a graphic visual. When you use important words and phrases, okay, then it is called as a text visual. For example, one liners that comes along with some, a company name, that can be a text visual. There is a rule in order when we want to make a text visual that a line and that should have six maximum words in a line, or if you have a long text, then it should be not more than 6 lines. Okay, so this is the rule for making a text visual. Graphic visuals, on the other hand, are the pictures that we use in order to explain the idea behind the presentation. And the graphic visuals are the same way important as they were important in the written document. The same things and the rules of applying or having the figures or the pictures are same to the presentation also, and it is always encouraged to eliminate the written work as much as possible from the graphics so that the user can understand or concentrate on the drawing or the picture in order to understand about the presentation. Let us see what are the guidelines for using the pictures or figures or visual aids. Um, we need to use one visual to convey one idea. The same visual cannot be used to convey two ideas or more than two, more than one ideas. In fact, illustrate only the main points. Don't worry about the details in the drawing. Just give the main points. Use colors in moderation. Use the red color sparingly because it overwhelms the other colors. Use the type of font to have thick, readable characters and be consistent in their use. So it means like all the slides should have the same font type. If you are following a rule to make the heading thicker, then make all the headings have a thick style. The characters should be readable and they have to be used in the same way throughout the presentation. Don't overcrowd the visuals. Means don't put many visuals in the presentation because the audiences cannot then it can create the confusion in the minds of audience and they will not be able to grasp the point quickly. Okay, so these are the four guidelines that we discussed in the slide. Can we repeat them? Limit one idea for one visual. Use red colors sparingly and in moderation. Use the colors in moderation. Illustrate only the main points, not the every detail. And keep the style consistent throughout the presentation and do not overcrowd the visual aids. Be sure all members of audience can see the visual, okay, because what happens sometimes you have the presentation which is only visible to the audience sitting in the first, second, third lines, but if they are sitting at the back of the room, some visuals may not be readable. For example, if you're using a green color, okay, or if you're using a blue color or a yellow color for the text, it won't be readable it is not readable clearly. Allow the audience time to read a visual before you begin the explanation. So when a new picture, when you introduce a graphic or a visual aid, give the user the time to read it so that they build some knowledge before you even talk about it. So don't rush in explanation. Keep the picture, give some time to the audience to read and understand it, and then you can explain in detail. Paraphrase the text of the visuals. Don't read it word by word. So it's like you are going to not make a reading when you are presenting. You are explaining actually when you are presenting. So don't read from the slide. When you have finished the discussion, okay, then remove the visual from the audience view. So it's like when you finish explaining about the parts of the heart or the parts of some important layers in the operating system. When you finish talking, just remove it from the eyes of the audience. It's like move to the next slide then. Okay, so uh, now what are the things that you should not do when you are when you are giving a PowerPoint presentation? Okay, so don't use too much of music or animations or fade in or fade out effects and so on. Don't use photographs or graphics without the text. Each graphic should have some text with it, right? The name, the label, the figure number, and the important parts should be labeled. So don't use graphics or photographs without text. Third one, don't make a slide presentation too long. The presentation shouldn't be, 100 pages, for example. If your topic demands to have a lengthy presentation, you can divide them into, different parts and use each part. Okay. Don't let the slide talk by itself. Don't let the slide to do the talking. It's like, you are just keeping the slide and then you're not presenting it. It means the slide is talking by itself. So don't do that. Don't multitask. Sometimes the speaker, is talking and also moving the mouse. Sometimes, he is presenting and also trying to settle down some computer glitches, tripping over the wires and maintaining, it's like moving and talking. So don't do that. When you're presenting, stand, in a comfortable posture, and use a proper body language. Okay. So we are done with the designing. In the designing, we have seen mm, how to use the visuals and what are the different types of visuals, the guidelines for presenting them, the guidelines for presenting visuals, and the things that the presenter shouldn't do when making a PowerPoint presentation. Now let us talk about editing. For oral presentations, the editing is the practice. Okay, the editing stage is really a practice stage. Okay, so it's like, before I give you this presentation, I have made a practice on it. I have underlined the important words in red color. Okay, I have thought about some examples to give you. So it's like practicing before giving the presentation is important, and that is what is making a good edited presentation. Now, the point at which you use different mechanics of delivery, including the physical aspect of the speech. Okay, now the first step is to decide what type of notes will you give to make the talk effective. Now, what is this? It's like, in editing, you take care about making the presentation most understandable or mostly understood by the audience. Okay, now at this stage, what you do is you make sure that if the presentation or the topic is a bit complex, then what are you trying to do? You're trying to give the audience some extra notes, okay, or some questions at the end of you might take a printout of 5 questions and then distribute it to all the audience available in the room, and then after you finish, you ask them to revisit the slides and get the answers out of it. Or you may give them some flashcards or some notes, so that these extra things can help them get connected or stay connected with the presentation and understand most out of it. Most speakers they use outline that is created by PowerPoint or note card as a guide for their prepared thoughts. Okay, editing the elements of delivery: style, pace, length, movement, tone, and handling the visuals. These are the elements of uh, editing. Look at the style, how you are giving the presentation, the pace, the pitch and the pace of the presenter speech, the length, how long, the movement, how they are making. Okay, and the use of visual aids. So these are the different elements of editing. These are the important things. Like, you have to take care about editing, you have to take care about designing, you have to take care about organizing, okay, and doing some planning and research. So this makes a good presentation. Now let us see. Now, once we complete the topic of the presentation, it means like we have covered the body of it. So now comes the place of closing the presentation. How do you close the presentation? By quickly summarizing up all the points that you have discussed during the presentation. Hence, a quick review is always needed at the end of the presentation to make sure or restate the in the points of a presentation, the important aspects that you have talked about it. Hence, we covered the importance of audience, methods of delivery, and the venue of presentation should be taken care in order to make an effective presentation. Planning and researching should be done about the time required and the use of visual media. Organizing the presentation is very important with respect to setting the agenda, introduction, summarizing, and using of visual aids. Selecting and designing text graphics and graphics visual, text visuals and graphic visuals are also very important along with other presentation media. Editing the presentation by using some supplementary material, like using the outlines, note cards, style and pace, length, movement and tone, and handling of visual aids are also very important. So this makes your chapter about the